Hey y'all, welcome back. We got a pretty busy day ahead of us here. I've done got started this morning. I dug the hole where we're going to be burying the waste from our pigs and stuff, because as many of y'all know, hog killing season is right here amongst us. And when you do this kind of stuff, you got to have somewhere to put the guts, because I'm not going to use the guts. I know there is things you can do with them, but I'm not going to use them. And then you have bones, and you have some waste that you got to do something with, some skins and stuff like that. We always bury ours every year. Years ago it started way out there, and we've just slowly dug ditches and filled in, and here we are now. Here in North Carolina, that's how you legally dispose of carcasses and stuff like that, is by burying them. Lots of people throw the stuff out, and you do what you want to do, but me personally, I don't like throwing it out. Even if I dumped it on our own property here, I don't like it, because all those bones and stuff, the coyotes and whatever, will end up dragging them out into your fields, and that could punch a hole in your tire, cause all sorts of problems. So we bury them, we do away with them, and fix it so that the critters can't get to it and scatter it everywhere. So anyways, I've got this hole dug out. All I'm going to dig, I got to get this excavator back to the house. That's a pretty good little drive from where I'm at, and then we're going to continue on with something else. All right, I got that back to the house here. It's funny, I've got back up here to the house, which is a little bit higher up than down there in them bottoms where I was at, and it's a lot chillier here. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing here. It wasn't blowing down there, so I guess I might have to put my coat back on. So Megan will be catching up with me here in just a little while. She had to work this morning. She should be home before too long though, but before she gets back, I got to get everything ready to grind some feed. We are out of cow feed, and like everything else I do in life, I've waited to the last minute. Should have been done a couple of days ago, but you know what? We just hadn't had a chance to do it. So I'm going to get my bush hog unhooked from my Kubota here, and that'll be the tractor I'm probably going to pull the feed grinder with. Let's see. I'm going to have to put some fuel in this thing. Let that warm up for a minute. I'll stick in my belly bar there. I'll be ready to go hook up that grinder. But my truck with the fuel tanks on it is parked down here at the barn pad. So I'm gonna go down here and fill up this tractor before I hook the grinder up. But I actually had somebody ask the other day, said, why ain't we seen you using that new Kubota, Andy? What's going on? And I have been using it, y'all just hadn't seen it. This is my tractor now of choice when I go out and do jobs and stuff for other people, because this one is by far the quietest tractor I own, and by far the most comfortable tractor I own. and the most powerful tractor I own. And this tractor just works great going out and doing jobs. So that always, you know, I had this tractor tied up with the bush hog hook to it, and I had so many bush hogging jobs to do, it didn't make sense to unhook the bush hog and then have to hook right back to it. So I use all the other little tractors for all the other little odds and ends things I do around here. And this one lately has just been strictly used for business purposes, I guess you would say. One thing about it though, it likes fuel. So you have to constantly stay at the fuel pump putting fuel in this thing. Alrighty, I'll run up to my daddy's and get the grinder, and then to do everything else I'll have to wait for Megan to get here. There's still a little bit of hog feed in that grinder, so I need to sack that before I can ever get started grinding. And you got to have help to sack with that thing. It's a job that not one man can't do it by himself. One thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting on her is change out this screen. So those of y'all that haven't seen this, because we haven't showed the feed grinder in a ton of videos, but this is a Massey Ferguson, I don't know the model number on it, but it's a Massey Ferguson hammer mill. Let's see it, right here it is, a Massey Ferguson 15. That's a hammer mill. This particular portion right here is what does the grinding. And then this is a mixing tank right here behind me. And you have these screens in here that determine the size of the feed grind you get. See how that's got small holes in it? Hog feed, we grind a whole lot finer feed than I do cow feed. This is the screen we use for cow feed, and you can see the holes are much larger. Here, I'll show y'all something real quick. So that auger right there will swing around, and that's how you load it into this hammer mill. The corn or whatever you're grinding will go down through that chute right there and into here. And in here you have all these little knives, and those knives are spinning around really, really fast, and they beat the corn through these screens. And then in turn goes through an auger right down there and pulls it up into this mixing tank. And then if you have certain stuff like minerals and whatnot that you want to add into your feed, you can pour it in right there, and that auger will carry it up into the mixing tank too. And then inside this mixing tank, there's a big auger that goes straight up through the middle of it, and it's constantly pulling feed from the bottom and dumping it out the top. And so, in turn, mixing everything together. Now, these things are rather expensive new, but this one Daddy found from a local guy several years ago. I was still living at home back then, and paid hardly nothing for it. It was a retired farmer who hadn't used it in years. But I keep my eye out on Facebook just because you never know. Something may happen to this one and we need another one. Because this one it's pretty old. But I keep my eye on Facebook, and it seems that in my area they are fairly common machines, and you can find some that need maybe just a little bit of work for a reasonable price. So if you have the means of doing something like this, grinding your own feed or whatever, I highly suggest doing it, because at that point you control what goes into it. Just like you'll see here shortly, I'm making a little more high-powered feed for the wintertime for our cows. You know, you can just fine-tune everything, and you know what goes into the feed. You know exactly what's in there. Whereas if you go buy feed, and I mean, you know, if that's the only choice you got, that's the only choice you got. But if you go buy feed, you know, there's not 100% guarantee you know what's going to be in it. Just like the food we feed ourselves. You know, if you grow it and you control it, you know what's in it. However, if you don't, you don't. So, with that screen being changed, I guess play a waiting game now. I'll go get a few other little things done while I'm waiting on Megan, and she should be home before too long. Another thing I will mention, and actually the last time this thing was on video, there was a couple of y'all that pointed this out. There is supposed to be some guards here that cover all this stuff. We don't have them. They've never been on here since we've owned this machine. But you know, anything can happen. I can get hurt just driving down the road from here to my mom and daddy's and have everything, have my seatbelt on and the whole 9 yards, and I could get hurt doing that. The way I look at it is, we can get hurt doing every single little thing we do. It's best to take as many safety precautions as you can, but sometimes you just have to watch out and use common sense. While safety is a very, very important thing, and we try to teach safety a lot, you can get hurt being safe too. And I don't know no other way to put it. And I don't want to come across very bluntly like that, but it's the truth. And it's not that I don't care about safety. I do care about safety. But sometimes we have to use this thing that the good Lord put up here in our heads and watch out when, what is it they say? Do dangerous things safely, or I don't know. There's some old saying that says that. I can't remember now. But anyways, sometimes you just have to use a little common sense and be aware of those dangerous situations. So for this grinding of cow feed, I'm going to be using our multicolored corn on this go around. I checked. I was going to use that load of white corn over there, and for the most part it's dry enough. However, the very inside of the cob is still a little doughy feeling, and inside of the very inside of the kernel, when you bust one open with your teeth, still a little doughy feeling. This right here is dry. This is completely dry. And when you're grinding feed, you want to make sure you're using something that's dry, because if it has any moisture in it at all, once it's turned into that powder, it don't dry out and it will mold on you. So the quality of the corn you use is very important in this. We actually have ground corn that was still damp before, and it was terrible. It went bad on us, and you know, we thought it was dry enough, but we learned real quick it wasn't. So that is a very, very important thing to think about. So I'm going to grind this whole load of corn here, which ain't a ton of corn, but it'll make enough cow feed to get us through a month or two at least, maybe longer than that. I am going to pick out some to save for grits and all that before, because this is also the corn that we use for cornmeal and grits. So I'll dig through it here in a few minutes and probably get me a couple 5-gallon buckets out for that. going to pick out some of this that I want to use for cornmeal. I really like the red ears, but I'll use it all. That looks like a good one. See, the thing is, some of these already have some bug damage on them, and I'm not going to use that for cornmeal. Looks like a good one. So I'll just kind of go through everything, and I've already got ones for seed, so I don't have to worry about seed corn. I already got all that saved out. I just need cornmeal corn. I'll fill up these couple of 5-gallon buckets here, and the cool thing is I can use the Boone County white corn for cornmeal too. Being that it's an heirloom corn, and I've heard that it makes some pretty good cornmeal and all that as well, and I've never used it for cornmeal. However, we may end up trying it this year. Well, there we go. That's what I'm going to say for cornmeal. I will double check with Megan when she gets back, because I'm not 100% sure how much corn we use for cornmeal, so that may not be enough. Like I said, we got the white corn too, so it's not that big of an issue. Got my sidekick with me now. And for those of y'all saying, gosh, Andy, you gonna put her straight to work when she gets home from work? I didn't. I took her out on a nice lunch date before we actually got back to work here.
He sure did. I didn't even have to fix him no lunch.
So, yeah. All right. First thing we got to do is get this hog feed out of there, which all that requires is just swinging this auger right here around, and we'll sack it up, and then we can get to grinding our cow feed. I may have to move the truck up or back. I don't know. I might have it in the perfect spot.
Think so?
Yeah, this thing needs a door shut-off thing on the end of that auger so you can stop it and start it, but instead you have to come back here and do that. So this is why bagging is a two-person job.
Oh, is it? So it's not normally?
Yeah, if it had like one of them little valves on the end of it, like a handle where you could cut it on and off, one man could do it.
We need one of those.
Yeah, I know. But it's worked this way for years now. Yeah, I need to back up just a hair. That wind's gonna make it tough.
Yeah, it is. Andy, you want me to stack it back here like I usually do?
Yeah, because part of this will go to Daddy. Or we'll do something with it. Do I need to back up more? I may have not backed up enough.
Well, hold on. Let me get these. Okay.
Yep, the wind's got to blow. I think it blows every time we try to do something to feed. Ready?
Can you put it down? Put it down some more.
That's as low as it'll go. Oh, no, it ain't.
Yeah, you might need to back up. Too late now. It's starting. It's going on.
Shouldn't be a whole lot in there. So the way you put the grinder portion into gear is right here on the shaft. Get it turned right. Is this pin that pushes in and turns and locks into place. And in turn, that starts spinning that flywheel there. It goes over here and spins that shaft and turns the hammer mill that's inside of that. So considering we got the white corn too, do you want to save any more than that for a cornmeal or what?
I know it's such a hard decision because I don't know.
I know, because this is it. After this, it's gone.
I know.
Well, I'll tell you what. As we're shoveling it along in there, if you come across a nice pretty ear that you want to save,
we can just
pull it out.
Okay.
We need to find us one more bucket where I've already got them two full. Surely 3 buckets would be plenty.
It takes
2
or 3 usually to make a pan of bread.
Oh.
I'll just sit this over here if I see one I want to keep.
Before we get cranked up and it gets too loud out here, I want to show you what all I'm going to be adding to our cow feed. Now this will be going straight into the mixer tank, and we got the beef minerals, and this right here is a bag of dried molasses. Then going through the grinder portion is 2 bags of oats. That's compressed alfalfa, and that's just to beef it up a little bit, but since we're going into wintertime here, and it'll kind of help add a little more oomph to the feed. But like I said, that will be going through the grinder part of it because I want that ground up. This part will just be mixed in with the mixture. So while it is still quiet out here, and I can tell you what we're going to do, before I pull these boards off the back, we'll just toss them in there by hand.
Okay.
And then I'll get it to the point where I can pull them off, and then we'll shovel it in.
All right.
Now we have to go kind of slow with the cob corn because sometimes the cob corn don't feed up there as well, and
yeah, it gets caught.
It gets caught. So you have to really pay attention to that using cob corn with this thing. Behind that tractor. just run out of corn. And right now on the sight glass, it's to there. So, I'll give you a sneak peek at the feed here. I just opened up the trap door to see what it looked like. I wish y'all could smell it. That smells good enough I could eat it. Can you tell if that's good? Huh? Throttle this thing down a little bit. Pull the grinder back out of gear. Let them get full.
Let them get full?
Yeah. As long as there's enough room for me to tie.
Hey, hey!
That wind makes it tough.
Yeah, it does. All right. Like micro. It's a dirty job.
That is a dirty job. It's a dusty job.
It is, especially when the wind's blowing. I feel like it's all in my eyes.
The wind complicates everything. I guess what little bit of rain we had last night, the wind decided it was going to dry it back out for us.
Oh yeah.
So, you gonna tell them about your mistake you made, Megan? Y'all, I've changed the screen in this thing 100 times, if not 1,000 times. And when I changed the screen, I left a very important piece out. And I knew when I showed y'all a sneak, golly at the dust. When I showed y'all a sneak peek at that feed, something wasn't right, because I shouldn't have seen no corn kernels in it. Well, after we got to bagging it, we noticed a lot of that. Big chunks of cob, corn kernels that weren't ground, and she immediately caught it. She said something ain't right.
I said, I can't feed that to my cow.
Yeah. And after I looked in there, I knew that, yeah, something wasn't right, but there wasn't nothing we could do but sack it up.
Well, run it out.
And run it back through.
Yeah, run it out and then do it again.
But it's fixed now. We had to regrind it. We took and run it back through the grinder and sacked it all back up. And I'm going to tell you, that's some pretty cow feed, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. It smells good, too.
Oh, I know.
They'll like it. They'll be happy. That's a lot of feed, too. I mean.
Yeah.
That'll last us a while.
Several bags there. It turned out more than I thought it would.
Yeah, it'll last us a while, a good while.
Look at that. That's beautiful. And with that multicolored corn in it, it makes it so pretty. That's some good looking feed there.
Mm-hmm.
Your cow should feel lucky.
They should. They should feel privileged. Now, I have noticed, you know, like we got that little steer from my brother and cows we've gotten in the past. They have to get used to it.
Yeah, because most cows, when they come in here, they're not used to homemade feed.
Yeah. They have to, I don't know if it's the texture of it or what, but they kind of, it takes them a little bit to really get used to eating it.
Because, you know, a lot of store-bought feed is...
Pellets.
Is what?
Pellets.
It's pellets, that's right. And so, this is totally different texture to a cow than a pellet.
But once they get a taste for it, they'll lick it clean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It ain't a speck of dust left.
Once they figure it out and get used to it, I've seen cows go for this and leave the pelletized feed. They won't even eat it. This is the kind of cow feed that we've fed most of my life. I mean, Daddy always ground his own feed. We used to take it down to a local mill. And, well, when he got his own hammer mill, we started grinding it on our own. But that's a good chunk of feed there. And other than what we added to it, it was growed here.
And now, something like that, just out of curiosity, since we're talking about feed, and I know a lot of people that watch our channel are into growing their own food and stuff, and I think it's cool that we're able to grow part of our own animal feed. Somebody finds one of these on Facebook, or if they want to look for one, what do they call them, and how much will something like that run you?
So I actually touched on that a little bit earlier in the video.
Okay.
But you would call them like a feed grinder or a hammer mill, something like that, and that would be what you'd look for. But I have seen them in our area range anywhere from as cheap as $1,000, and I'm sure that's one you'd have to do some work on, all the way up to $10,000, $15,000, depending on how much you want to pay for one.
Oh, wow.
But that's a new one that's in really good shape.
Oh, okay.
That's something that the person who's a full-time cattle farmer or something would be looking into.
I gotcha.
On our scale, where it's not getting used every single day, you know, you can get by with the wore-out stuff.
Yeah.
This thing was wore out before Daddy bought it, and it still does the job.
Yeah.
So, in turn, it just depends on what kind of scale you're going to be using this type of equipment as to what you've got to buy. I think you can get by with the cheap ones. And in my opinion, if you can come across one in the $1,000 to $3,000 range that don't need a ton of work done to it, I think they're worth it.
But you got to have a big tractor to run them, don't you?
Well, that's a 60 horsepower, and it pulls that one fine. And that's a big mill. There is some of these that can be pulled with smaller tractors.
Okay.
And
see, this is getting out of my territory, but I mean, this may be something somebody's interested in and may not even realize this is something you can do.
that's right.
So,
It's an option. It's an option. If you have the means to buy the corn or grow the corn, whichever one you choose to do, it's definitely an option, and in the long run, is cheaper than buying feed from the feed store.
it just takes time.
It takes time. It takes
commitment, because when you're out of cow feed, I don't care what you got to do. Like, you better be making some more.
exactly.
Unless
Just like
you're gonna
when
go
we run
buy
out of
some.
hog feed. I mean,
Yeah.
them hogs have got to eat, so you ain't just gonna run to the feed store and grab a few extra
Yeah.
bags. You got to go grind you a batch. So it's all in what you want to do. If you want to fool with it, it's definitely worth taking on. If you don't want to fool with it, then you know ain't nothing wrong with going and buying your feed either. So if you were interested in doing something like this and you don't have a feed grinder and you don't want to buy one, you can get lucky and find some of the old-fashioned feed mills that are still around that will grind your corn and everything for you. Or you can find those feed mills, and usually they grind some too to resell. So anyways, there's a lot of options when it comes to feeding your animals. It just depends on your location and what you've got around you. Luckily, we've got a lot of farmers around here that sell corn. So if we ain't able to grow our own corn, we can still buy corn from them and grind it into our feed on our own. But anyways, I think it's definitely a worthwhile option if it's something you want to fool with. And once again, baling twine gets repurposed. Great stuff to tie sacks with. So earlier I said I was gaining some shelter space by getting this load of corn out from under there. But I believe the easiest option for me right now is to just leave this on this trailer and back it right back under the shelter, right where the load of corn was. And then eventually we'll probably unload it and stack it down there on a pallet or something. But just for time reasons, since we had to regrind it this evening, I'm just gonna leave it on the trailer. Jacob sounds like he's stuck over a log up in there. You hear him?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're gonna go see how the ones that really matter like this stuff. He reminds me so much of myself when I was his age.
The ultimate taste testers.
That's right. But in the end, it don't matter what we think it looks like, does it?
No.
It's all up to these right here.
I've got this whole big long trough and y'all all have to sit there and act like that. Yeah.
Well, there it is. You watched us plant it. You watched us grow it. You watched us pick it. Then you watched us turn it into feed. So anytime anybody asks, why do y'all grow corn? What do you do with all that corn? There it is. Part of it's cornmeal, but most of it does this right here.
So we not only grow our own food, we try to grow their food too, what we can of it anyway. Anyways, y'all, I guess that's gonna about wrap up today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope you might learned a little something. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. Yep. Until we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.
They licked it clean.
Yep, won't be a speck of dust left. I'm telling you. They love it.
Apparently they loved that really good, didn't they?
Yeah.